And today, that leads to 3 questions. How does curiosity work in the brain? When do we have to switch into courage mode for the digital age to get ideas on the road? And the third question comes not from me, it's actually from this quote. And the quote is from de la Rochefoucauld. And the question behind this quote is, how does that translate to real life? Quick story. A while ago, I drove back with my dad from his ceremony where he received his German passport. So we're all British people. And he had a British passport for over 50 years, but he lived in Germany. He needed a German one so that they will pay his pension when the silly island left the European Union. And we were driving out there, and we were stopped by a police officer. He went to the left side of the car, and he showed him to turn down the window, and he said, "Good evening, did you have something to drink?" And my dad said, quite cheerfully, "Yes, of course." And the police said, "Okay, how much?" I said, hang on. There were 2 beers, a martini, and a grappa as one for the road. And the policeman said, "Ach so." You should know that there is a law in Germany that forbids you to drive when you had something to drink. To which my father replied, "And you should know that this is a British car and the steering wheel is on the other side." So, thank you. So that really is a mind that you could complain about, and it was sitting right in the head of a police officer. But that's what it's all about, really. And on a more serious note, until 2019, we actually do research. We have studies with thousands of people inside and outside of organizations and inside and outside of cars. And the results are as follows. 2 core assets actually really unite all those that have an active innovator's mindset. And we can show it's the curiosity and their future courage, we call that. And investing in both leads to more innovation behavior, more changeability, but also more job satisfaction. A curious and courageous brain really uses some very special parts, and you can see them there, the red bits, okay? When we have fMRI studies, we can see that this lights up. We call this the caudate region. You can forget that. Just remember, it sits at the crossing between new knowledge and positive emotions, okay? And it's very well connected to all the areas in the brain that react to dopamine. You've all heard of dopamine, right? Transmitter in the brain that's connected to happiness, motivation, and of course, learning. So let me give you a very quick example of how it feels in your mind when this region is activated, okay? So all you need for this experiment is very quickly your index finger and your ring finger, both from your dominant hand. Dominant means right-handed people take obviously their right hand, and left-handed people look at their left hand. Very quickly, just check at them. Now, when you compare them very quickly, for some of you, they have the same length, right? For others, one is slightly longer than the other. And this relation is actually called the digit index. We use that in science. And it says a lot about your mental abilities. Exactly. Yeah, hang on. People with a low finger index make 11 times more at the stock exchange. They are better problem solvers. And now, exactly, now it starts firing in this red bit because you look at your fingers and go, is it like my fingers? Am I one of them? And it keeps firing, okay? So, here's the answer. You belong to this exquisite great group when your index finger is smaller than your ring finger. Exactly. Yes, the managing directors go, yes. And everybody else goes, yeah. So you can see the smiles, that's dopamine. Yeah, that is when that lights up, okay? Exactly. And there's always a few people who don't feel that reward. Exactly, because they look at their neighbor's hands going, of course, his index finger is smaller. But he uses it all the time to pick his nose. So last week, I did this experiment at a Salesforce meeting of an insurance company, okay? So there were almost only men in the audience. And they looked at their fingers, and one of them cried out, fully emotional, "Look, mine is even smaller than yours." If you hear a man freely admitting to that, yeah, you know, so big things I say so. But it's a fun way of explaining what it is about, to be curious. This short time before I gave you the answer, that is when it fires up there, when new knowledge meets positive emotions. That's why it's so important. So serious takeaway here, two things. Firstly, curiosity really is deeply wired into our brains. It's basic hardware that we have. It's not an optional extra. From that idea, you just get into action. And that's when you move from curiosity to courage, okay? Or as we say, future courage. Now, this future courage has 4 dimensions, and the first is hope. That is our belief that there are always many different ways to reach a goal, and that we'll all find them. And the second is resilience. You need that as well, not only, because you need to bounce back if you realize that was not a good idea. And then efficacy. Efficacy is our belief that we actually have what it takes in order to reach these new goals. And finally, realistic optimism. So that means we see ourselves as the reason for our successes, and not the circumstances or the market developments or luck. And only if you develop all 4, people can really adapt and excel in new surroundings. Can you expand your action zone, so to speak? Let me show you very quickly when this gets important, okay? So the most attractive experiment around this has taken place in Santa Monica. Now that's obviously California, always 27 degrees, almost no rain, sun, beach, ocean, and there was an experiment. So it was like a club med for psychologists. And directly at the beach, our colleague, Jonathan Schooler, and his team, they did the following. They turned this steel pyramid on its head, okay? So it's spiked into the floors. And underneath is a $100 bill. Now the task is, get the $100 bill from under the pyramid completely. But the pyramid is so sensitive, the lightest touch, movement, friction, it falls over, okay? So the question was, how can you get the complete $100 bill from underneath this pyramid without it falling over? This is an innovation problem. It's just slightly different than you deal with. But the ideas are the same and the reactions. So let's see. So do you have an idea? That's good. He's thinking, I guess.
I would go from beneath and try to get it, upsala.
Yeah. See what happens when you go from beneath.
Yeah.
No.
Try to get it through the hole.
Oh, you try to. I never had that before. That's good, but it doesn't work because obviously it actually almost severs. Yeah. So you can't get the rest. But it's a great idea. I never had that before, but it's wrong. So let's see. What do you say? Any ideas?
No idea.
No idea. No. Okay. That's honesty. Very important to say no idea. Let's ask the photographer. You've been here all day long. You've taken pictures. What do you say?
I won't care about the $100 bill because no.
He makes too much money just selling photographs.
No. I'm gonna break it and fix it afterwards.
Okay, excellent. Good idea. Also wrong, but good idea. So that's how quickly you need resilience, because there's 3 people here that I fucked up and everybody noticed. So it's not really good. So that's why resilience is really important. Okay. Is there anyone who has a totally different and wild idea and wants to share it with this great audience? I thought as much. Okay, so let me just get it. It's a little more tricky than you think. A while ago, I did this exact experiment with a bunch of lawyers. And one lawyer actually said, Carl, I would burn the $100 bill. And his colleagues replied, yeah, no wonder, you always make money go up in smoke in no time. But the first guy said, yeah, but it's always our client's money. But what should I say? He was actually right. It only works when you burn it. In psychology, we say hope is people are convinced that there are always several ways to reach a goal. And we're going to find them. They have willpower and way power, and you need both. And the result is this persistence. That's why they keep at it. Now, I remember when I was teaching at the University of Cologne, and we interviewed students for a position of a junior researcher. And there was one student, and I asked them at the end of the interview, so just in one sentence, one keyword, what's your strength? And she said, I'm extremely persistent. Oh, and I said, okay, great, let me write that down. And we'll call you. And then to which she answered, I wait here. Yeah, that's persistence. And we took her on, and she did a PhD, and she did great stuff because she was very persistent with everything in science. And that's really important to develop this hope. Why? Studies in sales actually show colleagues with more hope sell as much in 6 days as those with less hope on the scale sell in 7 days. So hope has the equivalent value of a whole working day. Myself. While I'm wearing it. So in a nutshell, changing demands, challenging markets, the new and the change, that will be with us forever. It's always been there. If you pay attention to a few brain-friendly behaviors, we make things a lot easier for ourselves, our colleagues, our customers. Firstly, change your grammar. Come up with more questions than you have answers. Secondly, use the hope map to think in alternatives from the very beginning and open up the room for not thinking. And thirdly, as Democritus from ancient Greece once said, courage stands at the beginning of our action, happiness at its end. In this sense, start courageously and live happily. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.